Everybody, it's Thursday, February 11th at the appointed time and place at 6 o'clock for the Ada County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We'll go ahead and do a roll call. Commissioner Creo.
Here.
Awesome. Commissioner Blitman is here. Commissioner Hilding, we're waiting on. Commissioner Birch.
Here.
Commissioner Exton.
Here.
And then Commissioner Roush.
Here.
And did I say your name correctly?
You did.
Okay, thank you very much. We're glad everybody's here. Our unfinished business is item number 202-002-734-CU-MSP, the American Ostrich Company, and Mr. Lindstrom is going to provide that for us.
Alrighty. Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Connor Lindstrom, and I will be presenting application 202002734-CU-MSP. This is for American Ostrich Farms. Before you, this is an application for a conditional use permit and master site plan application for a small-scale modular livestock harvest and processing facility to be located at South Pleasant Valley Road in Kuna, which contains 121.04 acres in Section 17, Township 1 North, Range 2 East. I will note that this application was tabled from last month in order to give the applicant more time to work with Central District Health and the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality. So this application is to allow for the processing of the livestock on the existing ostrich farm property. The existing farm raises ostriches for human consumption and has been using an existing meat packing facility in Nampa for harvesting and processing. The modular harvest facility proposed would allow for the processing of up to 4,500 ostriches annually and would eliminate the need to frequently transport the livestock to a different site for processing. The facility will be comprised of a few different modules that will allow for harvesting and processing of livestock. Within the facility, both an office space and restroom will be provided for employees and the USDA inspector on site. In total, the proposed use will encompass an area consisting of the modular for processing, which is on your screen here. Then this is a site plan. You'll also have the livestock holding pens, a 12-space parking lot for employees, a new access road to the facility, a new septic tank and drain field, as well as a composting area. The applicant is requesting a waiver from the landscaping and screening requirements. The request for the waiver is justified due to the distance from any residences, as well as landscaping. The dry land near and around the facility would not be feasible or sustainable due to the lack of surface water and the surrounding uses. Meat packing facilities are exempt from the natural features analysis requirement for master site plan applications. With this application, no outdoor lighting is proposed, and operating hours on the site will be as daylight permits, as provided by the applicant in their detailed letter, and this will be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. This property is within CUNA's area of city impact B, and as this is adopted by Ada County, the comp plan designates the site as rural residential, which lists detached single-family homes on large lots as the primary use, and farming and other agricultural uses, including small farms, as secondary uses. As such, this proposed use of the property for livestock harvesting and processing is compatible with the adopted future land use map. Based upon staff's review of the application, staff concludes that this application complies with the Ada County Code and recommends approval to the Commission as set out in the proposed findings of fact and conclusions of law. And I will stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. I'm going to explain to the commissioners online that my box that I can see you is about this big, so I really can't see anybody. So I'm just going to call your name and then have you ask questions. Commissioner Cuyo,
No questions.
Commissioner Hilding, Commissioner Birch,
No questions.
Commissioner Exton,
No questions.
and Commissioner Roush.
No questions.
Mr. Lindstrom, I had a question about the water.
Mm-hmm.
So there, in reading through through the reports, there seem to be some issues going on with water that are going to be resolved as part of our conditional use permit. If you could talk further about that, that would be great.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, so yes, it was more so, at least with the tabling of the application, that was in regards to Central District Health and Idaho Department of Environmental Quality's requirements regarding the septic and drain field system. Because they are going to have an office with a restroom, they are required to have a septic and drain field. So it just took time for the applicant to work with those entities. And if you'll note in exhibit number 22 of the application, the applicant was able to work with those entities. And let me see here. Let me make sure it's exhibit number 22. I might have given you the wrong number.
I'm kind of asked, there's a condition that says that they have to sign off before the applicant finishes.
Right,
As
okay.
part of so there's a condition, we've got, one of
Yes.
your conditions is.
There is a condition of approval that specifically states that the applicant shall provide Ada County Development Services with Central District Health and Idaho Department of Environmental Quality septic approval documentation. That is a condition of approval, but we wanted to also make sure that they were in the process of getting that approved. So Idaho DEQ and Central District Health gave us the okay to move forward with the application as long as we put that condition of
Okay.
approval in there.
Thank you very
Sorry,
much for
does that
clarifying.
answer your-
Yeah,
okay.
that answers the question. I just wanted to make sure, because there seemed to be a lot of discussion, I wanted to make sure that we pointed out that specific
Absolutely.
condition.
Thank
So I
you.
appreciate it. So I think we're done with questions, and so we'll go ahead and call the applicant, and I think they're online. Mr. McCoy,
Yes, can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Yep.
Hi, good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for having me. I think Mr. Lindstrom did a very thorough report on our proposed conditional use, and I don't have a lot to add to it, but I would be happy to explain more about the project or answer any questions you may have. And
Thank you.
again, for the record, my name is Alex McCoy, 20601 South Pleasant Valley Road.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I'll go around. Commissioners, Commissioner Roush, questions?
None at this time.
Mr. Exton, Commissioner Exton?
Not at this time either.
Thank you. Commissioner Birch?
No questions.
Okay, and Commissioner Cuyo?
Yeah, I have a question. Alex, how the heck did you get into ostrich farming?
I don't know if you guys have the kind of time for that. No, it's actually a short story. So have you ever had ostrich?
No.
It's a red meat. It tastes just like beef. I was working in South Africa, training for a long distance Ironman triathlon. And one day, I had to have a cheat day. I was craving red meat. One day I had ostrich instead of beef. And I felt fantastic. After I ate it, I went out and ran like 16 miles. And it's very hard to get ostrich in the United States. So I left my career in finance to bring ostrich to America. It's a great livestock. They thrive in desert climates, just like ours. So in a world with scarce water resources, desertification, these are animals that are hardy, that produce both meat and other byproducts that are high value and can add a lot to economies around the country. So this is our first farm here in Idaho. I grew up here, so I decided to come back home and do something a little different.
Okay, well done. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just to let you know, Commissioner Hilding is on the phone.
Oh, good. Commissioner Hilding, were you able to, do you have any questions about the Ostrich Company's, American Ostrich Company's application?
I'm looking for ostrich meat for Valentine's Day dinner for my wife. Where would I be able to?
I think Mr. McCoy
My
can,
apologies for being late.
So-
WebEx defeated me, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say Mr. McCoy
This
can
is-
probably hook you up there for some ostrich meat. So.
So this is one of the reasons I've come before you. We are sold out of basically all products because we have nowhere to process our animals.
Yeah.
So this is a huge issue, and this is going to enable us to totally vertically integrate, so we can control the quality, the animal husbandry and humanity, all the way to the end consumer. So we do sell all of our meat online, direct to consumer, at AmericanOstrichFarms.com. So you can go online there. We do have some burgers available and a few select items, but we're looking forward to restocking soon. We can get this facility completed next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a couple questions. I'm assuming that you had some sort of a local neighborhood meeting, and so I wondered what the people said at the neighborhood meeting, since we don't have anybody here to testify.
We did. There was only, we sent it out to about 12 folks, and one neighbor showed up, and they own property. There are no homes anywhere near us for quite some distance. And they actually showed up just out of curiosity to visit the ostrich farm and see what we were doing. But no, they didn't have any material comments, and I didn't receive any comments, positive or negative, from any other neighbors.
And then I read through your application, and your application talks about some state-of-the-art ways that you're going to minimize the noise and the waste that happens in a typical meat processing plant. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
Because that's kind
So
of...
we're really excited about that, and that's what this company is all about. One thing is our composter that we're going to have on site. We're getting a permit from the Idaho State Department of Agriculture to sell compost, organic compost coming out of our facility. So like a lot of the animal waste product has to get rendered into low value cooking oils and things like that. And some farms incinerate, creating a bunch of air pollution. Some other farms compost like in a big open area, like on farm, which creates fly issues and coyote issues and all sorts of things. So we have a self-contained composter where we're going to dispose of the vast majority of our waste in a way that just creates this wonderful organic compost that we're going to both improve our land and also be able to sell. So that's one thing is the animal waste. This is going to be like a no smell, none of the typical things that you have problems with these facilities. Another thing is that it's a small modular facility, so we're able to control what goes down the drain. So slaughterhouses in general are some of the worst polluters to septic and water management systems. What's interesting, and we've worked with DEQ and CDH, and I think they would tell you that they've learned something about this from this project as well, is that there haven't been any smaller scale slaughter facilities done in Idaho in decades. And that's because the regulations are tough. You got to be clean, you got to be good. And so no one has done a subsurface water disposal system. And so basically where we landed, and this works with my philosophy about the environment and so forth, this is going to be the cleanest, as far as water is concerned, I'm talking about now, the cleanest slaughter facility in the entire United States. We're not going to discharge any water into a subsurface that is any, the strength is what they talk about. The strength of the wastewater will be within residential limits. So we're not going to do any more polluting than like a single family home would do, which is incredible for a slaughter facility. And one of the ways we're able to do that is we're able to separate the blood and some of these things that more of that environmental damage. Because we're working in this modular unit, we're able to contain it and get it away from the drain so we can minimize what goes into the environment. So it's actually a great model for, I think you're going to see a lot of this in Idaho and around the country. A lot of these smaller scale modular units go up that are, you know, and I love the fact that we're being held to basically a higher standard than anyone else because we're doing subsurface outside of a waste treatment district. So I'm really excited to share this story and share all of our statistics about what is the strength of the wastewater that we're putting into the ground. We're going to be really excited to tell people that this is some of the cleanest stuff that's ever been done in this industry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the extra explanation. Any more questions? And is there anybody in the room who wants to testify on this? I don't have any names on the paper. Okay, I'm not seeing, yes, we have a person. So let's go ahead and Mr. McCoy will come back to you after we hear from the people that are in the room. So go ahead and approach the podium and give us your name and your address.
I'm George Mansfield. I live at 9775 West Hubbard Lane, and we're the neighbors. Actually, we're the one who showed up from curiosity and just looking there. I don't know anything about Ostrich and all that, but we have a landlocked property up there, and I don't know if this is a good place to discuss it.
Well, you know, you've got
If
3
not,
minutes to talk about anything you want to talk about
I
related
got
to the
3 minutes,
applications.
right?
Yeah, so we might have to cut you off.
I just had a question. This is
Okay.
bad venue. I'm sorry, but
Okay.
is there anything, if there's changes there? We noticed once we had a road and they were doing repairs and they gave us a bridge there from it. I mean, totally different situation. But is there any way this change or any other change, or is there any solution anywhere which can help us to unlandlock our 40 acres there, which is hopelessly unlocked to the west of the Ostrich farm?
You know, that isn't part of this hearing, but we've got a lot of good resources in the room. And so did we get your name and address and contact information?
George Mansfield, 9775 West Hubbard Lane.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Mansfield,
Oh,
like Mansfield, but no I. Mansfield.
Okay. And then your phone number, and we'll have
Oh
somebody
God,
give or
I believe it's 5151.
there we go.
Uh,
If you'll call
don't remember
Mr.
it.
Lindstrom tomorrow, he can kind of go through any of the options that might be out there.
I just came here today, long way, because I need to figure out if there's any way we could do synergetic, right, way
Right.
to do it. We would be willing to pay for the fire break if it would be way to get to that property there. Or ask any other neighbors, not just the Ostrich Farm, but anybody to the north, to the west, and so forth, if we can do it. So,
Yep, there are lots of good people here. I can't answer your question today, and we can't solve your problem right now, but we appreciate you coming in and
I just
asking.
figure when things are in motion, I'll just ask. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do the commissioners have any other questions for the applicant or for the applicant? I'm not seeing everybody shaking their head. I can see everybody. Okay. So do the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Lindstrom about the application? Shaking your head. Mr. Hilding, do you have any questions for Mr. Lindstrom?
No questions.
Okay, I think we'll close the questions, and I think we'll open it up for the commissioners. And I'm going to ask for a clarification. Am I closing the public hearing when I ask the commissioners to talk to each other?
Yep.
So we're closing the public hearing, and then the commissioners, are there anybody that wants to have discussion regarding this application? Or if you're ready to go to a motion, since I'll accept a motion if there's no discussion.
Madam Chairman,
Commissioner Cuyo.
based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law contained herein and the testimony from the public hearing, I make a motion that we approve project 202-002734-CU-MSP, subject to the conditions of approval attached as Exhibit A and the master site plan.
Thank you very much. There's been a motion to approve this project. Is there a second?
Jim Birch, I second the motion.
Okay, so Commissioner Birch seconded the motion. Any discussion? I'm not seeing any discussion. All those in favor, if you could say aye.
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 And all those opposed, if you could say aye. Okay, it looks like it passed unanimously. So I think we're good. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the second item of new business. It's 202-002-117-SNCU, Lytle Signs, Inc. And I think we received information from the staff that the applicant has asked that this be tabled. I wondered if a commissioner would propose that motion for us. I need a motion from the floor.
I tried to talk to him and then a lot of things came up,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Exton.
I would like to move to table project 202002117 CU-SN to March 11th, 2021.
Thank you very much. There's been a motion
Ada
to...
County Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you very much.
Public hearing to allow public testimony.
There's been a motion to table the Lytle Signs, Inc. Application until March 11th, 2021. Is there a second?
So I'll second that.
Commissioner Roush seconded it. Thank you very much. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And all those opposed, please say aye.
Aye.
I heard an opposed. Is that Commissioner Hilding?
I think they all said aye.
No, I'm in favor.
Okay, awesome. That's what I was hoping. Okay, well, it's all passed, and we'll table that to the next meeting. Our next item is item number 3, 202-003-073 ZOA CPA for Ada County. And before we get started on this, Mr. Moore, I'll have to disclose that the City of Meridian is a client of the work that I do for Ameriben, but it's not the same people, and I don't feel like there's anything that would cause me to not be able to participate in this next item. So thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Brent Moore with Ada County Development Services. Before you tonight is the Meridian Area of City Impact renegotiation. And this item is comprised of 3 applications. It includes a comprehensive plan map amendment to adopt the 2019 Meridian Comprehensive Plan and future land use map, a zoning ordinance map amendment for proposed changes to the area of city impact boundaries, and a zoning ordinance text amendment for proposed changes to the Ada County zoning ordinance. And maybe I'll wait till my presentation comes up. Flip to my screen. Oh, sorry. All right, sorry about that. All right, so in December 2019, Meridian adopted a new comprehensive plan following an extensive public outreach process in which over 5,500 residents participated. And Meridian now requests the county adopt its 2019 plan to replace the 2011 plan, which the county currently utilizes within the Meridian Area of City Impact. So due to the amount of change that has occurred between 2011 and 2019, staff finds the new plan will provide a better reflection of the current conditions and future goals of the city. And this, as part of the new comprehensive plan, Meridian adopted a new land use map. On the left of your screen is the 2011 land use map, which the county currently utilizes within the Meridian area of city impact. And to the right is the new land use map Meridian has adopted. And this is just to show that there weren't dramatic changes to the land use map. There have been updates, but the new plan just basically builds on the 2011 plan. And as part of the renegotiation, Meridian has proposed changes to its area of city impact boundary, as shown in this map. So the blue line shows the existing Meridian area of city impact boundary. The orange areas show property Meridian would like to remove from its area of city impact. And the green areas show portions of land Meridian would like to add to its area of city impact. So this request is a little unique in that Meridian is asking that its area of impact be reduced by nearly 2 square miles. And I'll go over the changes in a little more detail. This shows a property which Meridian would like to transfer to Star. The property here to the top is under common ownership with the properties to the west. So it just made sense for those to all be together in one area of city impact. And then there's also a portion towards the bottom of your screen that became separated from the rest of the area of city impact with the extension of Highway 16, which Meridian has agreed to transfer to Star. And then there's a lot of land along its southern boundary proposing to transfer to Cuna, just north of Lake Hazel Road. There's a large portion of land. A lot of this has been annexed by Cuna already. And then there's 2 smaller portions along Meridian Road. All this would go to Cuna. And then there's a small property just south of the Boise Ranch Golf Course, which Meridian would like to transfer to Boise. There's a hillside to the left, which would make it difficult for Meridian to provide sewer to it. And then the rest are just basically boundary cleanups along the Boise area of city impact boundary. This is land Meridian's proposing to add as part of the Movado subdivision. It's already been annexed by Meridian as it's separated from the Boise area of city impact by the Reidenbach Canal along the east side. And this is a small property along Fairview Avenue, which Boise has already annexed. And then 2 small pieces here. The green portion Meridian has already annexed, and the orange piece Boise has already annexed here near Eagle Road. So all of the adjacent cities are in agreement. We have letters of support from all of the adjacent cities. And I'd just like to say as staff, we do appreciate Meridian working with its neighboring cities to find boundaries that all the cities are in agreement with. And then lastly, the changes to the zoning ordinance. In addition to referencing the new comp plan and area of city impact boundaries, Meridian proposes adding to the number of applications that would require annexation when adjacent to their city limits. So the current negotiation with Meridian requires any rezones, subdivisions, or plan unit developments which abut Meridian city boundaries to request annexation into Meridian, so they would process them. And Meridian would like to add conditional uses, master site plan and master site plan modifications, one-time divisions, private roads, and expansions or extensions of non-conforming uses to this list. This would just to help ensure any significant land use changes adjacent to their boundaries, they would process. It's also proposed that we adopt Meridian's water, wastewater, pathways, and parks and recreation master plans in the area of city impact. And this would just help to ensure the county wouldn't approve of a development that would interfere with, say, Meridian's future sewer plans or water plans or pathway plans. And then lastly, we'd just like to formalize an agreement for Meridian to collect the county's impact fees for the jail, coroner, and EMS. As you're probably aware, the county's working on development impact fees for these services, and I would just like to formalize an agreement with Meridian to collect those for new development within their boundaries. So as detailed in the findings of fact and staff report, staff is recommending approval of all of the proposed changes. This concludes my presentation. I would be glad to stand for questions. And I'll note that we also have the planning manager for Meridian, Caleb Hood, participating via WebEx, who would also like to speak to this item as well.
Thank you very much. If we'll go ahead and put the commissioners' pictures up there, we'll see if the commissioners have questions. And I'll start out with Commissioner Cuyo.
Stop sharing.
Sorry, I was on mute. I promised myself I'd never do that, and I did. I'm so nervous. My question is, can you tell me what political entities had to sign off on this?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Cuyo, the cities of Cuna, Star, and Boise have all sent letters of support of the area of impact boundary changes. So because the area of impact changes would affect their cities, we did need their support. So we have the support of all the cities affected by that boundary change. Then other than that, it's Ada County and the city of Meridian.
Madam Chairman, I think it's worth noting that a whole bunch of political entities in this area agreed on something. I think that should go especially into the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I can totally agree. Commissioner Exton.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Commissioner Birch.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for Brent. Brent, I thought it was extremely well put together. And my questions relate to the textual amendments. In the textual amendment, I think it's in 9-4-4, where it adds, for processing of land use applications in the Meridian area of city impact, they add, as you mentioned, conditional use permits, master site plans, master site plan modifications, private roads, one-time divisions, expansions, or extensions of non-conforming uses. And my question is, what is the practical effect of the language that's been added? And let me kind of put it in perspective. Time seems to all be running together, but I think about 6 months ago, we had, I believe it was an application for a conditional use permit with a school that was located adjacent to Meridian, I think maybe on all sides. It may have been an island, but it was within Ada County and not in the city of Meridian. The city of Meridian wanted the property annexed, and they had a number of conditions imposed with respect to the school. Ultimately, we as a body of the Planning Commission went ahead and approved the application. Would this amendment that is being proposed, adding in the conditional use permits, master site plans and whatnot, would it have had any effect on the decision that we made with respect to that particular matter?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Birch, if that property abutted Meridian's city limits, and it was a conditional use, it would have been required to annex into Meridian and apply through them, so the county wouldn't have processed it in that case.
So that's kind of what I figured. And so, but this is just specific to Meridian, correct? Star, Cuna, they did not want anything amended to do basically the same thing that the city of Meridian is doing.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Birch, that's correct. This amendment would only affect Meridian. Each city has their own negotiation process with us. So this amendment would only impact the applications in the Meridian area of city impact.
So I can continue. So I'm not saying if it's good or bad, but the practical effect of this is that it takes away some of the authority that this body currently has with respect to property that is in Ada County, but is in the Meridian area of impact, because now that would have to go through Meridian and go through the annexation process, which was precisely the thing that the applicant 6 months or so ago did not want to do. They did not want to be forced to be annexed into the city of Meridian.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Birch, that is correct. It could ultimately result in fewer applications being processed by the county, potentially fewer heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission in cases where they touch Meridian's boundaries.
So,
Commissioner Birch,
my next my
it's okay. You have another
sorry,
question?
go ahead.
Go ahead. You're
Chairman.
fine.
I did. One last question. So would this impact applications that have already been approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission? Or would it only apply to future ones? Ones that are in process. I don't know where that particular one was, and it doesn't matter. But any of them that are in process, would they be affected by this? Or would it only be for applications that commence after the date when this would be approved?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Birch, it would only apply to future applications that were made after this were adopted. So this would still need to go to the Board of County Commissioners for approval, be approved and noticed. And if approved by them, anything that came in after that.
So any applications that come in after it's been approved by the board? That's a great question.
That's correct.
Do you have any more questions, Commissioner Birch? I don't want to cut you off.
No, I really appreciated Brent's answers, though. Very thorough. Thank you.
And those might be questions that we could ask the city of Meridian when they come and speak to us too. Commissioner Hilding, do you have questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay, and Commissioner Roush, did you get the opportunity to ask questions?
I do not have any questions at this time, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any questions, and I think we'll go to WebEx, and we've got, I've got two people. I've got Caleb Hood, who you mentioned, and then Brian McClure. So I don't know who wants to go first, and if you could tell us your name and address.
Good evening, Madam Chair. This is Caleb Hood. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Caleb Hood. I'm the Planning Division Manager for the City of Meridian. As you just mentioned, Brian McClure, one of my coworkers, is also on the line. We appreciate you hearing this application this evening. Brent did a great job of outlining our application to you all. We've also worked with Jason as well as some of your previous staff and other current staff there at the county. So just really appreciate them kind of us walking us through this process and being part of developing our comprehensive plan that we have. You guys already alluded to it as well, but we did work with the adjacent cities. So no small feat there to get letters of support from those adjacent cities to amend our areas of city impact with them. Worked with the adjacent county as well on some of our policies and just making sure that with Meridian being in the center of a lot of this growth, that we are coordinating our policies and those boundaries with the adjacent cities. I do want to highlight just a little bit more, and again, Brent threw some numbers at you there, but we're pretty proud of our community involvement as well. We went to quite a few different activities in the parks for well over a year, and our web-based plan development had a lot of engagement, got a lot of good feedback from the public on our outreach there, and really we're satisfied and quite happy with the outcome and again how we engaged with our community members. I'm not going to belabor this too much. I do want just two things I guess I'll pick up because I think there might be a question there. But Commissioner Birch, your question about some changes to Title IX there and process-wise, a lot of that has to do with enclaves, which are properties that generally are surrounded, if not on 2 or 3 sides, by city limits, and you've got sewer and water from the city that are running right in front of a property, and yet they want to continue to use well and septic. Those create issues not only for the city, but also for the county. In fact, your commissioners in the past have asked us to clean up those enclaves. It's difficult when properties develop with sewer and water and then services have to go around them and they're bypassed. It creates issues primarily for the sheriff's office and our police departments on whose responsibility is it, who's the lead agency. If you look at our city limits today, we affectionately refer to them as Swiss cheese, because there are a lot of county enclaves in the city's area of city impact. So the hope with the changes there is that not to force anybody to annex, but when development is proposed and you're adjacent to the city, contiguous to current city limits, and those services are available, it made more sense for the city to be the lead agency in those types of applications. So that was our request, to try to head off future enclaves within our area of city impact. I can stand here in just a second if we want to have more conversation about that. But those are the application types that we thought were most applicable to have them request Meridian be the lead agency. I did want to bring up just one, and I don't want to call it an issue, but just call out, and again, Brent mentioned it there, but the jail, the coroner and EMS impact fees. We have had discussions with the county on that. I think we're okay, understand that the county's still developing that in Title 10. I think kind of as a placeholder, we're okay, but I just want to go on the record that we haven't formalized that agreement yet and don't know how those impacts would be, collected on the county's behalf by the city, and maybe vice versa. That's what we're kind of playing with too. There may be some impact fees that the county collects on the city's behalf. So I think there's a discussion there. Again, I don't necessarily have any issue with it being a placeholder, but I did just want to make that clear that we don't have that fully developed yet and understand exactly how that may or may not work to collect impact fees. So again, really appreciate your all's time this evening, and especially Mr. Moore in that presentation, and I will stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hood. I'm going to go ahead and go to Mr. Birch first, because you had some really good questions. Do you want to have some follow-up questions for the City of Meridian?
Actually, I don't. I appreciated Caleb's explanation, and so I have no questions.
Awesome. Commissioner Exton?
No questions at this time.
And Commissioner Cuyo?
Nope.
Okay, Commissioner Hilding?
No questions.
Okay, and Commissioner Roush?
No questions, thank you.
I have a couple of comments. I grew up on the corner of Lake Hazel and Linder, so all that stuff on South Cuna is in my backyard, and so I'm very pleased that the cities of Cuna and Meridian could work together, and I was very pleased to see the letter. So I understand how big a struggle that's been over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So it's been a big deal. So I appreciate it. And I didn't have any other questions, just a comment. So I think if, unless the commissioners in the staff, Jason, Mr. Bowles has a comment.
So, Madam Chair, thank you. I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to, I guess, respond to Caleb and make sure everybody is aware. With the impact fee issue, we are aware that that is not part of this actual agreement, but they have agreed to consider it. And I guess to belabor and to beat this dead horse regarding the request for applicants to go to the city first, I just wanted to make sure and let everybody know that we do have a similar agreement with Boise, where applicants are required to go to Boise first. And I will be honest, we do end up with quite a few applications, as applications are denied or what they're looking to do may not fit with the city. The city may not have that desire to annex, or utilities may not be available. And so we still may see applications that come before us, even though they are adjacent to city limits. But I think ultimately the most important thing to remember and consider is we're adopting Meridian's comprehensive plan. They've gone through extensive amount of work on the visioning of what that area of impact should look like. And I think from a acknowledgement and respect aspect, I think it is only appropriate that if somebody is adjacent to city limits, that they go and try to work with the city of Meridian first before coming to us.
Does that create any thoughts or questions from the commissioners? The comments here? Commissioner Cuyo? Nope.
Nope.
Anybody have thoughts or questions? I don't see any questions from the commissioners. So from what, I have kind of a question. So, or a comment so what this means is that if I've got an adjacent property and I want to do something with it, I need to go check in with the city of Meridian first to see if they want me to annex it before I come to the Ada County.
Correct.
Basically.
Yeah, if you have a path for annexation and utilities are available, and it fits, then yes. If it's something that they're not willing to entertain, but they're comfortable with, that fits within our land use. For example, what happens with the Boise is they acknowledge, yes, we've looked at this. We're not interested in annexing this property at this time, and we're comfortable with this type of development in the county at this time. And so then we would process it.
Okay, thank you very much. And I have one more question for Mr. Moore. As I understand it, this is something that we're voting on tonight as a referral, and then it goes to the county commissioners, and they're the ones that actually do the approval.
Madam Chair, that's correct. Tonight
Okay.
would just be a recommendation to the board.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no more questions from the commissioners, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And then I'll give the commissioners an opportunity to have conversation. I thought there was some good comments that were made. Does anybody want to be recognized for conversation?
Yeah, this is Paul Hilding.
Hi, Paul.
Madam Chair.
Yes?
Hi. I just want to make sure I understand exactly what it is we're voting on. It seems like very far-reaching. We're being asked to approve adoption of the 2019 Meridian Comprehensive Plan for use within the area of impact. And I didn't read every single page of the comprehensive plan, but there's much more to it than what we've just finished talking about. And I've got to say, I'm kind of surprised at the lack of any comments at all from the public. Either the public outreach was very good, or and they worked through all the issues before coming here, or I don't know. But it just seems odd to me that we have no public comment at all on this far-reaching proposal. So I'm just putting that out there, and maybe I'm misunderstanding the motion, but it seems like a very broad impact that it would have in the area of impact. So that's it. That's just my comment.
Commissioner Hilding, I can say that from my seat where I live, kind of off the edge of the Meridian area of impact, I've been really aware that this has been going on for a really long time. So it kind of feels like old news at my house, and the changes weren't all that big a deal from my perspective. So maybe it just depends on where you're sitting in Ada County, how much visibility you've had with this.
Yeah, no, I was not aware of this process, but I'm not in that area. And again, it's astonishing to me when I guess something is not controversial these days.
Yeah.
So that was my only comment.
It's a good comment. So what other thoughts do the commissioners have? I'll just go around, I guess. Commissioner Cuyo?
No comments.
Commissioner Exton?
No comments.
Okay, Commissioner Birch?
Yeah, this should have been a question that I asked either Caleb or Brent, but it goes back to a question that I asked previously. So is there somewhere in this where it specifically states that all of this, the changes that we're making, specifically the textual changes, will be at a certain effective date? That is, that they will only apply to applications that are initially commenced after the date when the County Commission actually approves this.
And I think we'll let Mr. Boyles talk about that.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we do have a provision in Title 8 that states an application is basically the code at the time of at the time of application, the code that is in place is what the application will be, that criteria will be used to judge that application. And so no applications, because this is a textual change to Title IX, it would not impact any applications until it was adopted, until it was published, and became an official county code. Would applications need to meet these standards. So it is stated in Title VIII. It is not identified specifically in this agreement, but it is in Title VIII.
Thank you. That's a great question.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Roush.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the only comments I have is I think that, so this was already adopted. My understanding of your explanation, and from what I read on the top of the report, the comprehensive plan, is that this was already adopted in 2019 by Meridian. Is that what you were alluding to with your comment?
That's my understanding, is that this has been going on for a really long time. I'm seeing head shaking in the room, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like they did a very good job of, analyzing what was best for themselves and also for their neighbors, and kind of those adjustments to the boundaries. I thought that was took a little bit of effort and insight by the drafters to see that. So I don't have any other comments.
So thank you. The floor is open for any more comments or discussions or a motion, depending on where people want to take this.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Cuyo.
based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law contained herein, I recommend that the Commission approve Project 202-00-3073-CPA-ZC-ZOA to the Board.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I would second that motion.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Roush seconded the motion. I'm going to ask the staff to clarify, are we okay with that motion, or do we need to include everything else in it?
Madam Chair, that motion should be fine.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And anybody opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The next item on our agenda is the minutes from the January 14th, 2020 meeting. And I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Exton.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 14th meeting.
Thank you very much. There's been a motion to approve the minutes from the January 14th, 2020 meeting. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Roush seconded the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let the records reflect that the minutes were approved. And now we'll turn it over to Mr. Bowles for the review of the Commissioners' meeting on February 10th.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. So to review the meeting from last night with the board, we did have a Planning and Zoning Commissioner service recognition for Commissioner Ennis. So when a term expires and when you sail off into the sunset, the board does like to recognize you and thank you for your service to the county and to the community. And so that was the first item last night. We did have a final plat for Avamore Subdivision. The preliminary plat, I believe, was approved in 2017-ish. It's one of the last plats on the north side as they're getting close to the county boundary up in Avamore. And then there was the Nosler Point subdivision final plat. It was a 2-lot subdivision, 53 acres out towards Hubbard and Stewart Road. And both of those were approved. There was a development agreement modification and a new master site plan for mixed-use office space. This item actually had taken several meetings. It's the Franklin Sensor Building, and it's actually just east of the area that Meridian is giving to Star that we saw next to Highway 16 and Chinden Road at that intersection. So Franklin Sensor is a manufacturing company that has a master site plan. They have a facility there, and they were looking to expand to phase 2 to add an additional story to their building and additional space to their building for manufacturing. And there were concerns about fire and fire flow out there, but ultimately the board approved this application with a 2-to-1 vote for them to move forward with that. And that is all I have. Any questions about any of those items?
I guess I would ask why the person dissented on that, why they voted against it. I mean, what was the rationale or the conflict or the discussion?
Ultimately, I think the concern was the fire protection. They did not have adequate fire flow at this time. They had identified the possibility and probability of annexing into Meridian and obtaining water through municipal water in the future, but at this time they didn't meet fire flows. And the fire district had expressed some concerns. Ladder trucks were 15 minutes away. Was one of the other big main concerns. The applicant talked about how their building, it was a concrete building, and they weren't doing a lot of intense, tight manufacturing which would have a fire risk. And so, I think that was the concern with the one dissenting vote, was that the fire protection wasn't there and adequate at this time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make a comment to Jason and say, thank goodness the commissioners decided over practicality rather than what some lawyer said on a piece of paper sitting in his office. I am very pleased that passed.
So Chief Buongiorno was there. You guys are all well familiar
Yes.
with Chief Buongiorno. He was there on that item, so they got to know him well.
I'll bet. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commissioners? I can't see anybody shaking their head, so. And that's everything from the committee meeting, right? And so you want to have a presentation now?
I have a 4-slide presentation.
Okay.
I am intending to make this quick. I know staff would appreciate that, myself included. Really, it's a 4-slide presentation. With it being the beginning of the year, we thought it would be a good idea to take the opportunity to review a few things that we talked about in the training. The 2 brand new commissioners may remember these things, but we just want to take the opportunity to talk about a few things. The first one really is this idea of what it takes to be an effective planning and zoning commission. And I've just highlighted some statements throughout here that I think these are important things to remember as you are considering applications. The first is avoid being distracted by personality groups or issues. You've experienced very different applicants with very different perspectives and very different desires, and the importance is to not let those personalities distract you from the purpose of considering the facts and considering the code. Meeting procedures, staying consistent with the procedures. We, as staff, work very hard to make sure that you don't have to worry about this, but there is the opportunity to make sure that you're following procedures through the public hearing process, not interacting with the public directly when the record is closed, making sure that that's understood and additional information isn't taken unless the record's reopened, those sorts of things. Follow the law. Is your decision based on and is it supported by the record? Staff does provide a recommendation, but that's not set in stone. It's our recommendation. It's our perspective. If you disagree with us, that's great. We have no problem with that whatsoever. We just ask that you can identify what in the record or what in the code has led to that decision so that we can draft a written decision to reflect that decision that is different than ours. We ask you come prepared. Read the record, read the packet. Be prepared to ask questions if you have them, if you have concerns, to have those resolved. Open communication. Each of you has the responsibility for the free flow of ideas amongst each other as well as with the applicant. Asking those questions may help another commissioner. It definitely helps the record. It helps the public understand what you're considering as you're making a decision. And it helps present the, really that vetting process, that due process of considering all the evidence in the record and making the decision. So I think you guys do an excellent job of having those different ideas and communicating those different ideas and different perspectives, and just ask that you continue to do that. And then efficient pace. So, this goes to not only holding your motions until the discussion is concluded, but also making those motions once the discussion has concluded. And understanding there's definitely challenges with WebEx and how it is we're meeting, but just that timely flow of the meeting and keeping things moving along. And then effective leadership. Each commission member does have the opportunity to support the chair in her role, and making sure that the meeting is moving along, supporting with motions and seconds and votes, and also, supporting that, asking the questions and directing the communication through the chair. So, any questions about those items?
Yeah, this is Paul Hilding. And thanks for the presentation. Quite some time ago, I received a helpful email or piece of paper or something from you all that laid out the format for making a motion, and I've lost mine, and it might be helpful for new people if they haven't received it, just so we have that in front of us when we're working on trying to help out by making a motion.
Easy to do. I can definitely do that.
Much appreciated.
I would like to comment. I've been on the commission for a couple of years now, and this group of people that we have here today, it was really great because everybody had a question somewhere during today's meetings, even on a couple of relatively non-controversial things. And so I really appreciated those questions, and I really appreciated everybody feeling comfortable in asking questions and speaking up. I think part of being on the commission means that we don't all think alike, and that's why there's multiple people on the commission. And so we need to be comfortable asking questions and maybe being the person that might be have a different perspective than everybody else. And that's what we need, is that different perspective.
I concur. It really means a lot to the public if they can hear you talking about the application and really considering all aspects and all angles. As well as the applicant. I can imagine an applicant feel it would be a waste of time if you guys just said, yep, and you didn't really talk about it. Because they go through a lot of preparation, a lot of work to bring an application before you. And the public taking their time to come and meet with you and submitting comment, it's difficult. And so it means a lot when you take that time to talk about what's been presented.
And particularly the public really appreciates it when you make sure that you've considered their input. And so I think the commission does a really good job of that, but that's part of it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, this is
sort
where
of-
we're asking questions.
Okay. Just maybe it's more of a comment. I understand that we apparently need to receive a extremely comprehensive copy of the entire record that was presented to staff. For some reason, we need all of that. I'm wondering if it can be organized differently. There's only a few things in the record that I look at. For example, in the couple of the items today, I think there was maybe 120-page LLC agreement, which had nothing to do with anything that I could think of, other than to prove that the applicant held legal title to the property, which didn't seem like anything that anybody was disputing. So what I generally look at is the staff report and what the agencies have to say about it. And then I'm certainly interested if anybody is opposing whatever is being applied for. Those are the things I look at. I don't look at, there was also like a trustees, a final allocation agreement relating to a trust and all these other documents that perhaps were requested by staff. Would there be a way to package this so that, because I'm worried if I don't go through every last page, I'm going to miss something. So is there a way to package this differently so that we get the important stuff and then the backup is available to us and sent to us, and then maybe the geekiest of the geeky folks amongst us will read every last page of the warranty deed, but we don't have to. We don't have to go through it page by page. In a number of cases, these documents are hundreds of pages long. And anyhow, enough said. I'm wondering if there's a way to repackage this for future meetings.
That's a really, really good point.
So Commissioner Hilding, not sure if you're aware how you open it and utilize it, but the way we've organized it, we have the introduction, the executive summary, but once you get to this exhibit list, these are linked, and so it is a matter of clicking on the items, and it takes you right to that page. Granted, you do have to go back to the top to click on the other item, but we do link the exhibits in from the staff report so that you do have the ability to just go to those specific items.
Wow. That was worth whatever I paid to sign up for this organization. Thank you for that tip. That's very helpful. Thank you, and apologize for being a computer dinosaur.
No,
I didn't know that either. So that's a great question.
I sincerely apologize that hasn't been made clear in the past. So yes, that's on staff. We should make sure that that's clear.
And I guess as a follow-up, I agree with Commissioner Hilding that the thing I look at is anybody who's given a notice, anybody who's provided comments from the public. And so when you label those as exhibits, if you can help us pull those things out. I don't see any on these because they don't have them, but it probably says comments from the public, or it says something that would lead me to believe that.
It'll typically say like email or letter from specific item.
Okay.
And the date of when we received it.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
And I always look at the pictures of the posted signs because they're so pretty. A lot of them are really pretty landscaping, but so keep those in there.
Okay.
That's a really good point and a really good training. Saved us an hour of our review time.
So I have two more slides, quick things. This was a sample code of conduct I pulled from actually Michigan State University Extension that they produce for communities in Michigan. Something for you to think of. This is their perspective of what Planning and Zoning Commission members should be doing. So I'm not going to go read through each of these items, but just to give you an idea of, generally I think we agree that this is how, what you're signed up for, in essence, are these items.
Jason, I wondered if you could just talk a little bit about, like, when I see stuff, sometimes I want to go drive by and check it out, but I know that that's probably not fair for me to deviate and go check something out. So talk to us about, after we get the information, if we happen to do any research on our own, how that impacts what we do.
So, and that's an excellent question. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles and biggest issues, and honestly what becomes one of the biggest challenges for land use applications. So the issue is your decision and the commission's decision needs to be based on evidence in the record. And so if you personally know, if you drive by and see something and nobody else has seen it, that's not really part of the record. And so, we understand that this is a small, in essence, it's a small community, and you may be familiar with it. You may drive by things, and that's fine. It's just a matter of swaying your opinion and swaying your decision to be based on those things as opposed to what's in the record. And so, we try to, if you look at an application and you wonder what something looks like, or if you want some perspective, or if you have a question, that's why it's great to email staff and say, hey, 20 years ago, this looked like something. What does it look like today? We have started to include site photos to help provide some of that perspective. But if there are other questions, the best avenue is to email us and let us go out and take a picture, take a video, so that everybody has that same, sees the same thing and has that same record for making the decision.
So that's a good point. So so it is okay to email questions before we get to the hearing.
Definitely. Yep. It's just a matter of making sure, like I said, making sure that we get them into the record.
And I can't see anybody. Does anybody else have questions? Just feel free to unmic yourself and ask them.
Not about the code of conduct, Brenda, but I had a couple comments about other things.
That's fine.
Since this is my last meeting, I feel that I really need to thank staff for all their help and what they do to pave the road so that when we get here, our jobs are a lot easier. If I had to do what they do, my brain would have exploded long ago. I also want to thank Jason for sitting patiently with me those first few months of mine on the commission, when it seemed like I was constantly calling him to make appointments to ask questions. I appreciate that, Jason, and appreciate your patience. Connor, I appreciate you enabling my quirky little habit of always asking for cookies before the meeting. I appreciate that. And then lastly, I have to say that since I'm going off, the position of commission jokester is open. Now, I don't know if any of you are going to step up to that, but the meetings don't have to be so dull that we're all falling asleep. For example, if a guy's wearing a Harvard T-shirt, I would ask, did you really go to Harvard, or did you just get the T-shirt? So, within appropriate limits, I think a little humor goes a long way, and I want to wish all the commissioners the best of luck in the future. I hope you don't get too many cell tower applications.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Cuyo. It's been awesome to have you on the commission. So.
Thank you, Brenda.
It has. It's been a pleasure. And I have to say, one of my favorite, I love getting those emails and those phone calls saying, hey, I've got a question. Can we sit down and talk? I really, really enjoy that because, it shows that you're thinking about things, you're concerned about things, and that, you want to do it right. And so I hope all of you feel comfortable enough to take staff up on those opportunities. All of us, I think that's one of the reasons why we do what we do and we're in this line of work, is we really enjoy helping people and that opportunity to help people.
Thank you.
And then I guess just to conclude this, I did pull some bullet items dealing with virtual meetings as we have been dealing with WebEx, and just some reminders in general. I think this is something we need to incorporate in our staff training as well as the overall training. Is just some ideas, things to remember as we're on WebEx. Either muting or leaving the keyboard alone. That can be distracting. Dress appropriately, or make sure you're dressed at least. I think that's really important. Be aware of your surroundings. So, I don't know, I'm gonna put Corey on the spot. She actually has something in her background that sometimes is there and sometimes isn't there in the meetings that she holds with pre-apps. You want to share what that is?
So my home office is in a shared space, and my significant other has a California state flag that I take down with meetings with the public, just to avoid any comments.
Yep. So Corey is mindful of her surroundings and what it may imply or conflict that may arise because of it. And we're appreciative of her being aware of her surroundings in that way. Muting the microphone when you're not talking. Luke has done an amazing job of making sure these in-house audio is working, and we've got feedback limited and eliminated. It's just sometimes there is that feedback or extra noise, white noise that comes out of nowhere. And so muting your microphone really helps make sure that we don't have those issues. Speaking up, it's important to project your voice in web meetings, more so maybe than what it is in person. Don't eat. I think these are late meetings. And when I say don't eat, it's a matter of eating on camera. I think there's differing opinions, but turning off the video if you have to, step away or sneeze or blow your nose or have something to eat, would be more acceptable than doing that on video. And remember, it is a public record, and it does go on YouTube, and so there is a chance somebody comes across it, finds it really entertaining, and then the whole world sees it. So just remember that. And then, stay seated and stay present. I know sometimes I struggle with this of being present. I can get distracted sometimes with the web meetings, but just a reminder to stay present and pay attention to what's going on.
If anybody wants to laugh, you need to Google the Judge Cat filter video.
I actually was going to lead with that, but I was trying to get this done in 10 minutes. Yeah. I've not succeeded in that, so I should have shared it. But yes, if you have any questions about why it's important to understand what's going on in a web meeting, definitely Google the Judge Cat video. And that's all I have.
People are smiling, so they've all already seen it. So, okay. Anything else, Jason?
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Commissioners, is there anything else from the commissioners? Excuse me?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll move to adjourn. This is Paul Hilding.
Okay, Commissioner Hilding moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
That's awesome. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned until next month.
Aye.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.